Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Full Potential Show. I'm James Rick, and this is your number one non-boring source for personal development. And today on the line, we have Richard Norris. Richard is a self-leadership and performance coach, speaker, and author of Hoof It, 7 Key Lessons on Your Journey of Success. You can learn more about Richard at drrichardnorris.com. Today's show is about transformational self-leadership. You can't be a great leader unless you can lead yourself first. We're also going to have a free gift for you at the end of today's show, Timeless Secrets for Sustainable Success in Life and Business. So you want to hang on for that at the end of the show. Richard, thank you so much for being on today's Full Potential Show.
Well, thanks, James. I'm glad the name of your show certainly resonates with me because it's all about helping people fulfill their potential, what they're born into.
Absolutely, and that's what we're here to do today, and you're going to help us, my friend.
Well, in the space of whatever 20 minutes or so, we'll see what we can do. Well, hey, you never know. We might change the world in 20 minutes. Fantastic.
You never know. We might make a dent, a big dent. We'll do our best.
Absolutely.
So let's dive in and talk about this idea of transformational self-leadership. I mean, it's responsibility for yourself. It's really about mastering yourself so that you're in a position to really help and lead others. Is that the idea?
Yeah, and that's essentially it. And it's really arisen, James, out of my own walk and my own journey of success, my own revelations about, what's leadership all about. Because I was delivering a lot of stuff in leadership development. When it really came down, I go, you got to start with yourself first. And if you can't get that squared away, because my conviction, and I just wrote a blog about it, is we are all born to lead. Because some people say are you born to lead, or are you made to be a leader, a nature versus nurture kind of thing. And my conviction is everybody's at least born to lead themselves. And we have 100% responsibility for that. If you can't lead yourself, somebody else will, and your life is going to end up probably not where you want it to be.
Now, let's talk about a little bit of the backstory. I mean,
sure.
Where did you start with this? You were teaching leadership. You recognized that you needed to lead yourself, or what was sort of the genesis for this idea?
Well, yeah, this whole genesis. How long you got? Really, I started out as a veterinarian, and then did that for 12 years. Really, on my own journey, I was looking to fulfill my potential, and I thought it was all in line with veterinary medicine. Did a bunch of post-grad, but it was really unfulfilled. And there was just a constant and chronic niggle. So I said, I had to break away from that. So, and part of that process, I was in the military as well, doing that same thing. And, I was starting to say, yeah, there's some stuff here that's not really vet related that I was starting to resonate with. And I really discovered that where my real potential was helping other people become more of who they're meant to be. And so I went off, did an MBA to figure out what square that away. And unfortunately, my MBA finished 3 days after September 11th. So I was sort of scuppered for a career. I was 18 months unemployed, ended up buying myself a job. And I bought myself a coaching franchise. And I don't know how much you know about that whole industry, but generally speaking, when you're coaching somebody, you're probably more coaching yourself than anyone else. So that's really true. That's really where it came from. And I kept getting mirrors, whether it was myself or others, keep flagging up in front of me and saying, you need to look at this yourself. And for me, a lot of it's about personal integrity and being congruent with my clients. And then the message just kept hammering back. And it was more specifically last year. And I've just started again, as of yesterday, a 40-day fast, really to figure out, my next step, my clarity. And the clarity last year came out, I'm to be a messenger specifically around this area of transformational self-leadership, because whilst I can deliver to people who need leadership development and that thing, that area, really where I've got to look at them first is let's dive down into who you are first, and let's figure out where you need to lead yourself better. And once you start to align all that, then you'll start to notice, you'll see a significant improvement in your career focus too.
And it's an interesting focus too, Richard, because I think that when you're in a position of you've mastered yourself or you're leading yourself effectively, you kind of draw others to you just as a natural result of that strength.
Yeah, no, and that's absolutely right, because most people are out there and are afraid to ask the challenging question, why the heck am I here? Because really, at the core question you need to start asking yourself first is, what's my purpose? And last year, about 18 months ago, I put a post up on LinkedIn, and it was a simple question. It was one of those inspired questions in one word, what's your purpose? And really, for me, whenever I coach people, I said, we need to establish what your purpose is, but I always distill it down to one word because it makes it really easy. It's not confusing, and it should cross all the roles in your life, whether you're a father or son, Boy Scout leader, PTA member, mother, Girl Guide leader, coach the local Little League team, doesn't matter. But once you actually understand what that purpose is, then you can start to get alignment to what you're really supposed to be doing.
And with the purpose, is it something that you sort of create as something you can live with right now, or is it something that you fast and then it comes to you? How do you approach that?
No, in my instance, I wrote an article a while ago about determining your purpose because it's different strokes, different folks. Whatever. So long as you start asking that question and are really tenacious about it, like a pit bull on a ham hock, you don't let that sucker go until you start to get the insight. And sometimes you need to ask other people and say, what do you see as my purpose? But it's really when you start to see where things come easy and where you really feel like you're on your game. There's some indicators there that you need to dive into that, right, James, and really explore it, dissect it, and see what is it. And there's a little trick I use, works with some people, doesn't work with everybody, is just keep asking, be what I call B3. If you've ever seen a 3-year-old, they're the smartest people on the planet. I've got one right now, and all they do is ask why. And you have to keep, and when you ask that question, it keeps paring away like the onion until you get right down in the middle, center seed, and that's where that purpose lies.
And so keep that curiosity going and keep that question burning into the answer. What is it? Why am I here? What is my purpose? And eventually that feeling is going to show up. It's easier this way. This is where my bliss is. This feels good. This feels right.
Yeah. And more specifically, what you'll notice is when you really get it, James, it'll flag that that's your purpose in whatever role you have. Because I notice that my core one-word purpose is about transformation, hence transformational self-leadership. And I realize that when I've ever really been buzzed, I'm transforming in my family with my kids as a dad. I'm transforming as a husband. I'm transforming as a swim coach when I was a competitive swimmer. I was transforming when I was an officer helping other people become better. And that really resonates across all. And then once you've got that purpose, that is a compass for every single decision you got in your life. Every opportunity you say, does this move me towards my purpose? Yes or no? Does it keep me on purpose? And if it's a no, you just walk away. Makes decision making a lot more effective.
And this is really what it means to lead yourself then too, is once you've identified your purpose, you are to lead yourself or to use that as the compass, like you said, for everything you do, so that you're now leading yourself down the path that you want to go, which is a purposeful, meaningful path that really matters to you.
Because absolutely, James. Because one of the things which this is a revelation I had a little while ago. When you understand your purpose, and this is potentially an answer for the planet's issues at the moment, is if we consider that if everybody found and discovered and lived their purpose, because in essence everybody's purpose will be in a positive light, then when you live your purpose, you cannot live your purpose without serving other people living theirs. So everyone becomes effectively self-leading in a servant leadership capacity, and everybody actually is on an ascending spiral of performance and potential.
So that's an interesting revelation. What you're saying is that when you lead yourself down a purposeful path, you cannot help but be a supporter and leader of others moving down their path. It's all like we're co-creating and we're all moving towards the same thing. And we've got to get ourselves right first before we go out and try to help others. But in essence, by helping ourselves and really maximizing our role as a self-leader, we are then by almost default becoming a leader of other people.
Yeah, and that's a good insight there, James, because the other thing which smacks with that, because you can still get people that are leaders, but they're one-dimensional. But what self-leadership is about creating effectively three-dimensional or multi-dimensional leadership. And when you consider that concept, there will be people who are very good leaders in one role, but it's like if you had 3 balls and you're juggling them. Because generally when I first approach somebody, whether it's an executive or somebody else, is I look at them and say, okay, let's identify your top 3 roles in your life. One will be your career, because that's where most people focus. And then the other 2 are usually family related. I usually indicate that one of them should be you and the other one should be family related. And when you look at those 3 balls, most of those 3 balls are actually, 2 of them are made out of rubber. rubber, or no, correction. 2 of them are made out of glass. One of them is made out of rubber. Which one is the one that we focus on? The one made out of rubber, which is our career one, because it's easy. If you drop it, it doesn't break. You can pick it up and pull it together again. The other 2 are made out of glass. You shatter those, drop those, you're potentially scuppered, and you've got a big hill to climb. Then
that's a good metaphor. I mean, we have to give priority to our relationships. We have to give priority to ourselves, because really, at the end of it, that is where we get most of our personal development, right? And then. And the career is often a vehicle for the financial sustainment, but like you said, we can flex it a little bit. There's a lot of flexibility in how we approach our financial vehicle.
Yeah, and there's also the scripture that comes to mind is, we hear the term "love your neighbor as yourself," but you could easily say "lead your neighbor as yourself." You can't lead them unless you can lead yourself. Well, you can't, and really, leadership is. I saw another definition of leadership the other day is about loving other people, because if you really are a true leader, what I call a true leader, then you're going to love the other person to actually help them become who they're meant to be. And the premise of your show is all about helping people reach their full potential, and really the way you do that is to love them and lead them at the same time.
Well, I mean, we've got some great insights here, Richard, and what I want to do is leave people with some specific things that they can start implementing. I mean, this is obviously going to plant some seeds, and it's going to grow and germinate in their minds over time. But what are some specific things that they can do when they leave today's interview to start incorporating this idea of transformational self-leadership?
Well, I think the first thing is to look at the areas, quite honestly, is to start asking that resonating question, what's my purpose, if you haven't asked that question to begin with, and be really tenacious about it. And, what I can do is I'll also happily flip you, James, so you can potentially put up on the website that article, Determining Your Purpose. So it gives you maybe some ways and means to do that. Second is to just realize that, a lot of people are endeavoring to complicate things and always look for the simple solution. My favorite quote up on my wall is by Albert Einstein: "When the solution's simple, God's answering." And that's what I live by, because as soon as things get complicated, it's usually when people stop. Because they're confused. A confused mind says no. So that's the second one. And the third one really is about being prepared to look at yourself and identify, in the first instance, what are your top 3 roles where you invest most of your time, energy, and resource. Identify those, and then start looking at those and asking the question, okay, so where do I resonate? What's my core purpose there? And you're looking for common threads. Where do I absolutely, am I on my game, or maybe I'm not? The initial thing I do is I look at those 3 roles and say, okay, score yourself, James, out of 10, because it's trying to make it objective, but you will know what a 10 is for you, is define what success is. First off, what's success for your life in detail, write it out. Then define success for each of those respective roles. And then against that, measure yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And if you come out at like a 6 or 5 or 3, you say, okay, what do I need to do in the next 2 weeks to get it up to the next step? And then you effectively what you do, it's a very simple, quick way of actually creating a short action plan on your own self-leadership.
It is beautiful, and it's something that I use all the time. And I map out, different areas, but it's basically the same thing. And it gives you the track to run down. What track do I need to be on to get to a level 10? And then you obviously can cut out everything else that isn't moving you towards a level 10, because why? Why would you do those other things?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like within my book, Hoof It, the 7 Key Lessons. I talk about, if anybody wants to be a success on their own journey, they've got to have a strong vision. They've got to be passionate about what they do. They've got to be absolutely committed, prepared to change and learn. Then they must be decisive, take action, and the 7th is the bonus. They know how to have fun. And within the book, some people have said I've given too much away, but I said no. There's a 1-page exercise at each of the end of those 7 lessons. So here's the 3 action steps you need to do to progress that aspect of your journey. By the end of the book, they've got a 21-step action plan to progress their journey, and it just makes sense.
Awesome. All right, 3 things. What's my purpose? Always look for the simple solution. When the solution is simple, God is answering. That's Einstein's quote on your wall there. And I like what you said. A confused mind says no by default. And then thirdly, define what success in life means for you. And then look at the 3 roles where you spend the most time and energy, and ask yourself what success looks like at a level 10 in each one of those roles. and then give yourself a measure right now. So you have a starting track and where you want to be at a level 10 in those areas. You've got this book, which is a great resource for running down that track. That book is Hoof It, 7 Key Lessons on Your Journey of Success. The website is drrichardnorris.com. Richard, any final thoughts before we wrap up today's show and tell people where they can get their free gift?
Yeah, sure. You can go on for the free gift. You can just pop onto my website and go under the store where it says free stuff. You can just download the MP3 there on drrichardnorris.com. Other than that, all I can say is just go out there, enjoy yourselves, and be awesome.
Awesome. And you are awesome. Thank you, Dr. Richard Norris, for being on today's Full Potential Show.
Okay, thanks, James. Take care.
You too, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of the Full Potential Show, your #1 non-boring source for personal development. I'm James Rick, and if you want to get more positive programming for your brain absolutely free on a weekly basis, just visit fullpotential.com.
If you like the Full Potential Show, you're going to love the Full Potential Club. What would you like most as a Full Potential Club member? Be 2 to 3 times more productive? Do what you're passionate about? Have more energy? Reduce your work hours? Travel the world? Enjoy an amazing lifestyle on a frugal budget? What if you could do them all? James Rick has been there and done it in ways that few people have. For anyone serious about taking their life or business to the next level, you know you've got to do more than just watch. You've got to do. Join James Rick and other like-minded people for an incredible $10 a month at fullpotential.com/club. Be educated. Be empowered. Be the best version of you. fullpotential.com/club. Try it free for 30 days.